Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. We're going to take a look, and we're going to go in depth. Triple H's recent comments about talent in WWE today, which is surprising to say the least. And we also have this week's Event Center Diamond of the Ring and Be the Booker for the tomorrow night's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. All that right here, right now, on a Valentine's Day edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Saturday night. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside David Octavius and Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time Knockouts Divas Hall of Fame champion.
You like this?
I hurt. My retinas are strained, attempting to look at...
You know, the Rock and I were pals, we're Twitter buddies, the whole thing, everything.
That tweet you showed last week?
Yes. I sent him a Super Friend shirt.
And he burned it.
And in turn, he sent me one of his old Rock shirts. How sweet is that? Talk about a Valentine's Day present.
You got a Valentine's Day gift from The Rock?
Well, it's one of his shirts. One of the great ones. This is like, you know, hot stuff.
Do you remember the promo on WWE Superstars a couple of years back? Mean Gene Okerlund has done an interview with Slick. And Slick told him...
That's like 20 years ago.
Slick told Mean Gene that the one-man gang would no longer be known as the one-man gang, but he would be now and forever known as Hakeem the African Dream.
No, it's Akeem, not Hakeem.
God bless you.
Hakeem.
I think that's that shirt. I think The Rock slipped you something else. I think that's Hakeem's shirt.
You're saying that I am now the African Dream?
Well, that would be for the audience to answer.
The American Dream was just in Milwaukee last weekend. Now I'm the African Dream?
With that shirt on, you look like Hakeem. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't, but really? African Dream?
Let's go into this week's in-depth segment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us wherever you are, including all over the world, online at PWRshow.com. And David Hero, we talked about it a little bit last week when you were burying Bruno Sammartino.
I did not.
Triple H had some comments.
Stop.
Collaborate?
I just gave my opinion.
You buried Bruno.
That's what you pay me the big dollars to do. Say, hey, you give me your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, and that's what I'm giving you. There's a whole lot more I could say about this, but I'm not going to say it on TV.
But you just said it.
But there's more. There's always more. If you can read.
Then why are you holding back?
Because you know what? We're so close to WrestleMania. It's going to be a joyous occasion. It's going to be shenanigans and parties and Hall of Fames and all the good stuff in the world.
More names, by the way, announced on Twitter this week for the shenanigans party.
Oh, and that's Twitter at PWR Show, correct?
Thank you. You read your brand styling sheets, and you got all that straight now. Good.
Called me an African Dream.
Oh, look at you.
I am looking at me. This is a hot shirt.
Triple H, ladies and gentlemen, had some comments in an interview at WWE.com last week in reference to the reasoning for getting Bruno Sammartino not only inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but also being back as a member of the WWE universe, if you will, or at least the WWE employment ranks. And they had a question for him, and the answer that Triple H had for that question, I'm a big believer, and I quote David Hero, see the words on the screen, I'm a big believer of stepping back in time. Even when I was coming up in the business, and this comes from learning from Kowalski, I didn't really watch the guys that were current. I watched the guys that came before me. I watched the Brunos, I watched the Kowalskis, I watched the Harley Races, the Backlunds, the Flairs, guys and generations that were before me. This business was different, but the fundamentals were sounder. There's something to be learned in that for everybody. I feel like there's a disconnect now. Everybody just wants to be a highlight reel. Nobody wants to have substance. They just want to be that moment in time when a guy flies off a cage. And that's not really what our business is about. That's an important lesson for talent to learn. David, so much wrapped up in that statement, and let's be real here. Since Triple H made it public last week, that's not the first time we've heard those very same words from people close to Triple H and people who make decisions in the wrestling business and people who are evaluating and deciding what talents get spots on TV and get pushes in the wrestling business. But now, he has said it to the world.
Well, we had that conversation with Billy Gunn and Al Snow driving back from Wausau.
And just so everyone knows, Billy Gunn, one of the head trainers for NXT, the guy who the last stop before TV is Billy Gunn, and Al Snow, the director of talent relations for TNA Impact Wrestling.
And one of the main guys of OVW Wrestling, you know, the feeder pool for TNA Impact Wrestling. Yeah. We've been saying it for a long time. It's not about the high spots. It's not about getting your stuff in. It's not about
getting your stuff in.
a flip into another flip into an elbow drop. It's about telling a story. It's about good versus evil. It's the oldest story in the world. And for some reason, we've gotten away from that. And of course, you know, TV has changed. Crash TV was huge. Reality TV got involved. And of course, you know, guys only get 3 or 4 minutes to get their TV match in, and they got to showcase what got them there. But long gone are the days of the old school matches where it would be Iron Sheik versus Bob Backlund, Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair, Nick Bockwinkel and Vern Gagne, Bruno Sammartino and Ivan Koloff. You know, great matches.
The 48-second one, or the?
Just the matches that, you know, they took you on that roller coaster ride. You know, it was the good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy, and then the outcome of the match. They don't have that anymore. They've tried.
Let's not forget, though, and let's not lose sight of the significance of this statement, comparatively speaking, to his father-in-law, Vince McMahon, who in 1997 got on television to all of us and said, "We will no longer insult your intelligence with the historical good guy versus bad guy." It was basically the launch of the Attitude Era. And there have been many criticisms as of late of the philosophy of Vince McMahon.
Why did they do that? Why did Vince say that? Because his top heel was getting cheered on TV every week.
And they were in the heights of the war with WCW. They had to do something different.
TV changed.
TV changed. And while I agree with what Triple H says about the wrestling business being fundamentally I agree that it is fundamentally the same. There is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the wrestling business, as far as it's presented to fans now, has changed substantially. What I mean by that is our attention span is much less than it was in the past. We used to sit there and be able to watch a 45-minute Broadway each and every week, or each and every month, or each and every other week on Clash of Champions or whatever it might have been. How often do you see a match like that on WWE television?
Well, it's because the fans' attention span won't last that
Exactly.
long.
You're flipping channels, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're Instagramming, you're tumbling, you're doing whatever.
You're Instagramming?
I Instagram. So that is what has changed. But what Triple H says is that the fundamentals of the business are the same, which is true. But at the same time, those fundamentals have to be modified to match the audience.
Undertaker versus Triple H.
At WrestleMania, different stage. I'm talking weekly.
No. But what I'm saying is,
how great?
Match. Why was it great? Because they took time and they told a story. Right?
I will say this, and I say this often. And if you have watched this show for any period of time over our 15 years we've been on the air, it was WrestleMania 22, Chicago, Illinois. It was Triple H versus John Cena. Up until that moment, I was that guy. I hated Triple H. I did not think he did anything for the business. I did not think he was good. I thought he only had his spot because, which he was champion at the time, I thought he only had his spot because he was sleeping with Steph. But being in Chicago for that entire week, watching, looking, observing, and learning from the way Triple H worked the entire wrestling audience leading into that match with John Cena, where he tapped out, I believe.
He buried him weeks leading up.
Buried him.
To tap.
The press conference, he stood there and said, you know, a lot of people have been asking me how I've been thinking about this match with John Cena at WrestleMania. It's going to be the easiest night of my life. It's like, you prick. But he did it. He got you there. He got you to believe that there was no doubt he was going to lose or win that matchup. and he walked in and didn't just lose, but gave it to John Cena.
put him
That
over big.
is a professional. That was the night that I gained all the respect in the world for Triple H. And if you look at the fingerprints that Triple H is putting on the business, the elements of the business he has direct impact on, he's making substantial changes. Subtle, but substantial changes.
He's a student of the game. He is about the history of wrestling. He is about professional wrestling, not sports entertainment. Yeah, of course, he had his run with DX, but he's still the wrestler's wrestler, and that's what he likes to do, and he's trying to fix what's been broken for the last several years.
Well, we have a lot more to talk about as it pertains to this. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion, which really has morphed into a discussion about the current state of professional wrestling. We've got David Hero's Diamond of the Ring this week, presented by Robert Hack Diamonds, and be the booker for the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is tomorrow night on pay-per-view. The Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Saturday night continues right after this.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, the insurance company may try to stop you from getting what's fair.
After my car wreck, the insurance company tried to stop me from getting what was fair. I called Gruber Law Offices.
Be careful. Call us right away.
They better be careful. Now I've got Gruber Law Offices.
Call us. Let us get started on your case right now.
They green-lighted my case and got me $100,000.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Call 276-6666.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report,
It's
Prime Time
cold
Saturday night.
outside.
It will not snow at WrestleMania. Just stop. Why are you're wishing ill will amongst, we'll have a suite available to us along with our 100 fans in our section.
You see all the snow we've been getting? See how much snow they got last week?
We
on
deserve
these?
it. We've had mild winters. Come on, let's be real here. We live in Wisconsin. You're going to be that guy complain about snow? You live in
They
Wisconsin?
got 30 inches of snow on the East Coast.
That's them.
They deserved it?
I didn't say that. I said we deserved it.
No, you said
I
they
said
deserved
we
it.
deserve it.
But-
Andrew, what did I say? Did I say we or they? I said we. I didn't say they. I said we. Both of you need to get your ears clean.
as a
Welcome back to the
general
Pro
public.
Wrestling Report, ladies and gentlemen. And what we've been talking about is an interview Triple H did last week with his own website, WWE.com. And let's continue that right now because there was another question I think that's worth discussing. And that question was two trips. Do you think superstars will be able to connect with Bruno? Bruno being Bruno Sammartino, who of course has been announced as an inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame.
I don't think so.
Triple H says this, and then we'll get your thoughts, David Hero. And I quote, "That's one of the reasons why I'm excited to have Bruno back in WWE. I'm hoping he can instill some of that when meeting and being around the talent in the coming years. It's one thing to watch a video of somebody you've never met. It's another thing to meet them and hear their stories. I'm jazzed up just sitting here. I feel like a little kid listening to Bruno talk about all these opponents in Shea Stadium. It makes me want to get a DVD and start watching Bruno matches. If the talent meets him and talks to him, it leads to them wanting to find out more and wanting to learn that history. To me, that's where the business needs to be. It needs to step back in time, not forward in time, to learn from the past. To me, that's what will make it better." Almost a campaign stump speech from Triple H about his vision for WWE. And let's, in case you don't know, remind you that Triple H is sitting, he's the prince to the king that is McMahon. He is going to run that company the day Vince McMahon decides to give it to him, which won't be anytime in the near future, but it's going to be a lot sooner than a lot of us think.
It's interesting because of the fact is so many of the young talent, they know who Bruno Sammartino is by name, but I'm willing to bet they haven't invested time into watching him in the ring. They haven't watched his tapes, his YouTube clips. They haven't watched his promos. They know how great he was. They've heard the legend. They've heard the story. But today's wrestling fans growing up, or today's young stars growing up, they watch Ricky Steamboat. They watch Ric Flair. You know, you can throw AJ Styles in there. You can throw Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. They have to now go back 30 or 40 more years to uncover the greatness of Bruno Sammartino.
But here's the thing. You know there are talents that do that. And I joke a lot, and I've endorsed him, but he is one of those people Cody Rhodes. You know he sits there and he watches Bruno matches. You know he watches Steamboat matches. You know he goes that far back.
Well,
but there are a lot of
wrestled
talents.
most of those
Exactly,
guys.
exactly. Which is why many people call him one of the next big stars in professional wrestling. But you know for a fact there are so many more talents who are doing what when they're in the hotel room, doing what when they're backstage.
Well, that's none of your business. But you're usually playing video games.
Tweeting, video games, whatever it might be on the phone, not watching that. Partly because many of them are discouraged because they don't feel they're ever going to get anywhere where they are now.
And it's just this generation.
Me, mine,
Yeah,
give.
Yeah, they're no longer the students. Now it's just, it's changed. The wrestling business as a whole has changed. There's no longer wrestling schools and academies where you go and you're going to drop down $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 to learn how to get properly trained. Nowadays, what it is,
Everybody
you
has a
find
school.
somebody local that's been, an indie king or prince or princess for the last 5-10 years,
Yeah.
and you give them $25 a week, and that's who trains you.
Yeah. The days of the Kowalski schools.
Al Snow had a school, the Vern Gagne school. I mean, there's the Rick Bassman camp out in California.
The dungeon.
Yeah, they're still around, and they had Sting and Ultimate Warrior come out of there, and John Cena. They just don't have that anymore. Right now, the only true schools you have Larry Sharp's Monster Factory out east, you have FCW and OVW.
Well, active discussion for sure, and Triple H's comments, of course, available in their entirety at WWE.com. Very telling interview with Paul, Triple H, if you will.
Hunter.
From WWE, and I'm sure this conversation will continue over the course of the next few months.
Good for wrestling.
You know, I'm just going to say it. He's brilliant, at least from my standpoint as a
let's not
wrestling
forget,
fan.
He has also drawn money, okay? He's been a guy on top. He's reinvented himself. And let's face it, the Click is still a very viable resource for pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. That's this week's extended in-depth segment. Let's now, though, David Hero, find out who this week's Diamond of the Ring is, which is presented by Robert Hack Diamonds.
You know, this week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring, I've had to think about it quite a bit because it's been an interesting week of wrestling. But, last week we gave it to Aries and Rude. This week I'm going to give it to another tag team, Triple H and Bruno Sammartino, because of all the great discussion they have spurred.
When were they a tag team?
They were the last few weeks putting this Hall of Fame gimmick together. Triple H, Bruno Sammartino, this week's Robert Hack Diamonds of the Ring. How do you like them apples?
I like it. I think that might serve you up a little bit of redemption for your perceived hatred.
The shirt.
of
I got
Bruno.
the endorsement. I'm intelligent, according to the Rock.
He remembers everything in Twitter names, ladies and gentlemen. Well, speaking of Twitter, at LindaK22 has this week's Event Center. Linda, take it away.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. I'm Linda Kay, sitting in for The Cause, here to bring you the news on all the latest events coming to the Milwaukee area. Tales from the Ring, the Wrestling Summit, is getting closer and closer. Mean Gene Okerlund, Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler are coming to Milwaukee on Friday, February 22nd at the Northern Lights Theater at Potawatomi Casino. Tickets are on sale now at the Northern Lights Theater box office and at Ticketmaster.com. One night, 3 legends, one stage. Big sexy Kevin Nash is back again to host Shenanigans in the Concrete Jungle on Saturday, April 6th, right after the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony across the street from Madison Square Garden. That's right, PWR is hosting a Hall of Fame after party in Manhattan, and last week we announced 5 more names added to the event, including Revy Sky, Robbie E., Jay Lethal, Rhino, and Matt Hardy. Tickets are on sale now at pwrshow.com, where you can also find a schedule of must-do events during WrestleMania weekend. Speaking of WrestleMania weekend, the first ever PWR Hall of Fame ceremony will take place Friday, April 5th in Manhattan. On Wednesday, we announced that Axe and Smash of Demolition will be joining King Kong Bundy for the inaugural class. And now we are excited to tell you that Armando Estrada will be the master of ceremonies for this event. Get weekend passes now for admission to the Hall of Fame and the Shenanigans Party for only $60 each at pwrshow.com. That's it for this week's PWR Event Center. I'm Linda Kay, and we'll see you at the matches.
The biggest party during WrestleMania weekend is coming to Manhattan. PWR presents Shenanigans in the Concrete Jungle, hosted by big, sexy Kevin Nash on Saturday, April 6th. But Kevin won't be alone. The party starts right after the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony, just steps away from Madison Square Garden. VIP tickets include free drinks and more, and are only available in limited quantities. Get your tickets now for this tremendous Hall of Fame after party right across the street from Madison Square Garden. It will be epic.
Friday night, February 22nd, 7:30 p.m. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event at the Northern Lights Theater at Potawatomi Bingo Casino. Tales from the Ring featuring 3 WWE Hall of Famers, Mean Gene Okerlund, good old JR Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler in a 90-minute question and answer session where you will be able to interact with these legends. Tickets are available now at the Northern Lights box office and Ticketmaster.com. Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, and Mean Gene Okerlund. One stage, one night, 3 legends.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, Primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson standing alongside David Hakeem Hero. And it's time for Be the Booker for WWE Elimination Chamber, which is tomorrow night on pay-per-view. And let's talk about the matches as of this taping, as we know them. And the first one, John Cena will team with Ryback and Sheamus to take on The Shield. Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins.
It's going to be a great match. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be 3 guys that hate 3 guys. The 3 biggest stars in the company, you got to figure, or 3 of the biggest stars, Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus, up against Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose.
Dean
Ambrose. It's going to be a great match.
Only their second official match.
I think these guys are going to be bumping all over the ring. I mean, I think they're going to toss them here and there and all over the place and whatnot and shenanigans and the whole thing, which brings me back to shenanigans. I honestly believe shenanigans are going to play a part in this, and I believe the Shield will somehow eke out a victory over the Dream Team.
Here's what's interesting. A question we have not yet gotten to that we should soon is whether or not WrestleMania is too predictable. If you look back in the last several years, the winner of the Royal Rumble has had to do what at this pay-per-view, the Elimination Chamber? They've put their spot in WrestleMania on the line. This guy, not putting his spot at WrestleMania on the line. Why? Click, 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 click. They want people to keep ordering because at this point, it's Rock versus Cena at WrestleMania.
But at the same time, with Cena saying that this is going to be his year, you'd like to believe he's going to win. But there could be shenanigans between Ryback and Sheamus, or Ryback and Cena. But the Shield needs to win. If the Shield drops this match, everything they've done, much like NXT, much like the Nexus, much like the NWO, much like every other faction that's come down the pike since then, will have all been for nothing.
Will this match occur within the confines of the 6 pods of the Elimination Chamber?
I hope so. I think that would be great. It's a great way for the heels to get the advantage of the babyfaces.
Next matchup comes from the SmackDown side of things, ladies and gentlemen. It's for the World Heavyweight Championship. Alberto Del Rio will defend his championship again against The Big Show.
And ADR has Big Show have just been going back and forth and back. It's a coin flip match. I mean, really is, because you got to figure whoever wins this, there's no more pay-per-views after the Chamber going into WrestleMania, so they kind of have to set things up. But does the Big Show need the world title to go into WrestleMania? I don't. I think ADR is the guy they're investing in. They're giving him scars to give away to the kids in the audience. He no longer has the car. His whole persona has changed. I like ADR to defeat Big Show and retain his world championship.
We'll see what happens.
But let's talk about what everyone...
I'm not ready to go to the next match. Don't rush me. You can count me down over there or whatnot, but I will take as much time as I want to make my point and prove to the world that the Nelson family remains number 1 in the draft. By the way, you have just 3 pay-per-views left to deplete your 200-point deficit against me.
It's fine. Tensei, I'll be on board pretty soon.
The WWE Championship will be on the line, ladies and gentlemen. CM Punk versus The Rock. The Rock being granted a rematch by CM Punk. It happens at the Elimination Chamber in New Orleans, Louisiana.
You know what's interesting about this? I think why I finally understand why there's so much hatred between Punk and The Rock.
Shirts like that?
No. Here's what it is. What kind of tattoo does CM Punk have?
He has several. Cobra Commander.
G.I. Joe.
Go Joe.
It's a match made in Hollywood right here.
Snake
CM
Eyes?
Punk versus The Rock. Goes one-on-one with the great one for the WWE title going into WrestleMania. Listen, it's just a formality. Much like Brock Lesnar versus Bob Holly at Royal Rumble, we all know that Brock was going to keep the title. The same thing is going to happen when The Rock lays the smack down on the CM Punk and retains his WWE champion.
I have many times called this pay-per-view a road bump to WrestleMania. In this case, it is back to being a road bump to WrestleMania. However, last few years, we've had some great Elimination Chamber matchups. As I said before, something has been on the line. This match, obvious for the WWE Championship. World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match, not sure I care, to be honest with you. World Heavyweight Championship, again, not sure I care.
Let's not forget placement. This pay-per-view is going to be in New Orleans, Louisiana.
And the reason it's there, so they can announce that coming up in 2014.
This New Orleans is going to favor The Rock. It's going to favor Ryback and Sheamus and Cena. It's going to showcase the stars they need to showcase.
I was in New Orleans last weekend, for Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Cat's meow.
Yes.
Razoo.
Did you lose your wallet?
No, but I lost a co-host recently. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Be the booker for WWE Elimination Chamber. We'll be back again with you for a brand new episode Wednesday night.
We'll do this for you guys, too, because I know y'all want to see it.
Your DWA... Oh, yeah. I mean, way to take a chance there, pal.
Because that's intelligent.
For that one, Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.